Hey friends, double video, I know, right? Oh, but really it's just because I need to explain why I've been away for a little bit, and it's really related to the fact that everything in my room decided to shit the fucking bed. So I have been very preoccupied on making sure everything is good. So the thing that I wanted to bring up is the fact that my computer that I use for basically everything is trash now. It still works in terms I can browse the internet and do all those sort of things, but when it comes to editing, I really can't see the render properly because it just lags tremendously. And I had to do a bunch of research wondering why. I mean, my computer's 6 years old. I haven't been really good about upgrading it along the way. So I have parts that are like... So instead of telling you, I figured I'd just show you what I'm talking about. Let me break out and show you how old this computer is. So I still like the case a lot. The case is cool, but all the components are old as F. So I think the newest thing on my computer is my power supply. So this is newer because my old one crapped out and was screaming at me. So that's the reason why that's new. Everything else is the same as when I first built it. So let's have a look, see here. So let's see, zoom, yep. So this is a Z170 series from Asus, and it is gotta be from the 2014s. But yeah, it's older, so obviously the new Ryzen chipsets do not fit with this socket. So the other thing that is important to know here is that the RAM is also very old. I think this is DDR3, and it's only 8 gigabytes each. No, it's 4 gigabytes each. Wow, so I only have like 8 gigabytes of RAM on this guy. That was probably good back then. It's crappy now. So I'm gonna upgrade to 64. So a tremendous leap. Hopefully that'll help me with the rendering. And then the graphics card is something that I was very much debating on. This is a 970 ME from MSI. So I think that this might actually still work. However, we're rendering with 4K, and gaming for new stuff probably is a little bit too old at this point. I may keep this for another build maybe, or maybe I'll sell it, but I think that the graphics card is probably still legit. It might still work for a while. Someone might find a use for it, so that's probably not something that he kill. But yeah, the motherboard, the CPU, the CPU. So it has this big Noctua cooling fan, but and I like it quite a bit. It's super quiet. But the fact is that it is cooling an i5 6600 from 2015 when they first released it, I think, and it is really just, you know, super old. And I've heard that it's actually not a bad thing to upgrade at this point because all the other iterations of like the 88 or the 7, 8 series have not been great, and they weren't really worthwhile upgrades because there was not really any competition for Intel, so they kind of just around with us and did incremental updates but still charging us up for it, which is stupid. But I've heard that now that Ryzen is in the picture, there's been a lot more competition and they've been increasing their functionality quite a bit. So obviously that just shows competition is very important here. The other thing that I want to note here is because of all of that, I decided to just switch all my stuff to AMD.
Why? Because f*** 'em, that's why.
So my motherboard, my chipset, everything is going to be AMD going forward, and I think that's going to be good for my editing setup and needs. But yeah, that's basically the rundown of my computer. Sorry for this handheld walkthrough, but I figured that it's better to show some of these internals rather than talk about them. So there's a bunch of reasons why that is not cutting it, but I've been trying to make it work for as long as I can. But it's finally time for me to eat the bullet, and that's because I was hoping I could just switch things out. Be like, oh, let me just add more RAM into this stuff. I have plenty of slots. Let me swap out the CPU. But obviously in 6 years, they've improved the socket and everything. So my motherboard doesn't work with all the new stuff. So I need a brand new computer. So I decided to just freaking go all in and, you know, get all the parts for a new system. So that is incoming. I'm getting it in pieces. Right now I have most of the things. I'm still waiting on the motherboard and the graphics card, but everything else is here. So what I'm going to do, which will probably get you guys videos more often, is go through a step-by-step process of me setting this stuff up, getting my new setup aligned, and some of the considerations. There are some video topics that are really important here that will at least kind of tie into what I normally do. So it won't just be like, oh, look at all this new stuff that I got. Like, I'm sure you don't care. But there will be some technology jargon in here that we can talk about, like optimizing your drives to make sure that your editing is better. So that's something that I learned when I was researching. So I'll put all those videos out as I go along, but I'll also take you along the journey of me building my computer, and you guys will be there if you see me fail. For perspective, I've only built a couple four computers in my life, but it's been like one every 4 years. So my dad made me help him with a couple of builds when I was younger, when I was in high school, middle school, etc. But those computers were obviously terrible back then, and there were not really a large amount of parts and options as there are today. But and then after college I built one because my iMac broke, and I decided to just, you know, get that skill of relearning how to build stuff without my dad. And then so now, like 6 years later, I am now building this computer. So this will be incoming. It's pretty, so I think you guys will like it. But that's one reason why I can't edit as fast as I want. And as you guys might have seen is, yeah, I do have a Mac. Why don't I just edit on this? Well, because it's not my Mac. And that doesn't really matter. I've done that before. However, as I'm starting to render these 4K videos, it's getting increasingly annoying to do it on this laptop, and that's because it's not my laptop, as I mentioned. It is my company's laptop. And while we can use things for personal use, it's really the fact that they put so much company wear on this and security and all this stuff that this 2018 Touch Bar MacBook Pro runs like a Dell computer from the 90s.
Why does it suck to be a Dell computer?
What is going on?
Oh, dude, Dell computer right now.
Like, it's an exaggeration, but it doesn't help me with my video editing that much. I still get the rendering issues where I can't see the issues. So the reason why you might have seen some of my videos have issues with some of the parts having unsynced audio is because I'm having those rendering issues, and it looks like it's accurate on the render, either on my computer or on this computer, and it just ends up not being in post. And then sometimes, just because I want to get a video out, I don't have time to go back and re-render it. That also gets in the time of my rendering time. My rendering times are ridiculously long, as are my upload times. So my rendering times usually take a few hours. So if I mess up, it's like I'm done for the day. Like, I got to re-render that and then re-upload it. So sometimes I just don't have time to do that. But hopefully with the new setup, that will all be resolved. I'll only have to use this in a pinch, and then my actual computer will be able to drive all of the rendering properly, and I won't have those issues, and my render time will go down dramatically. So 2020 laptop or 2020 computer, let's go. I'm so excited, and hopefully this resolves all my issues and I can get things out faster. So that's the main reason why I haven't had a video in the last couple weeks. And then the other one was that my shelf for my clothes shit the bed, and it basically timbered over. Like, if you think about like a tree or a really shitty shed, in the wind, it just like, it's an IKEA thing. Again, it's super old. It broke in moving, and it's got too lazy to replace it. But it finally crapped the bed when I pulled it out, and the whole shelf just like collapsed on itself. So that's why you see this new thing behind me. So drawers, now I know that I hate. I decided to make a shelf and make it look a little bit retail. So I'll show some like outside shots of what this looks like, but I think it looks clean. I like the way it turned out. It looks pretty solid. Now this thing shit the bed on me, I'm probably dead because this thing's heavier and it's bigger. But hey, I like the way it looks, and I think it gets me halfway there. And then as I was just going through this whole remodel, there's just a bunch of other stuff that I want to tidy up. like my whole desk here is a mess, and I'm trying to consolidate things and get things off the table. I have these giant Monroe-Sonic EG 150s, and it just has like a giant amp with it. So I'm trying to find ways to extract that from that. I've started it, so I'll show some of these clips here. So obviously my table is super messed up right now. I don't have storage for these until that IKEA shelf comes in. But before, I had that giant amp on my table, and it was taking up a lot of space. It made me really hard for me to work in concept. It's just because these things take a ton of power to freaking monitor, so that's annoying. So I did buy a shelf to make sure that it had a home, but I need to do some cable management and get a shelf for all this homeless stuff. So again, this is just set up things to make me a little bit more productive and to give me more space to work with when I'm concepting work and videos. So again, I apologize for the delay in these videos. I'm double dutying or doubling up this week, just because I know I've been off the YouTubes, but I've been responding to your comments, so I've been really appreciating all those comments. I am still trying to get through all of them, so hopefully those will be all responded by the time this video goes out, and that you guys will have more comments for me coming up. But in terms of other things, that's basically it. It's the same stuff with work and all that stuff. Randomly, clients are buying again, so all these contracts are coming up, so I have to handle those. But yeah, I mean, I can't complain about new business, but it does take me away from the YouTube stuff. But in reality, once I get this computer up, all this should be solved because I won't have any sort of slowdowns in my workflows. And yeah, I think my room's gonna start looking pretty good, and I won't be so cluttery. So I appreciate you guys being so patient with everything, and really happy that you guys are still engaging. So stick with me. Content's coming, I promise. And again, with this computer build, there'll be more. But yeah, anyway, appreciate you guys sticking around. Please consider liking, subscribing, doing all the things that you normally do on a video that you like and love. And as always, appreciate ya. Peace.